You feel it right now, don't you? That subtle, creeping tightening in your chest. That sudden, inexplicable urge to scroll past this video, to click away and return to the comforting, numbing noise of the algorithm. Do not move. That hesitation you are experiencing is not random. It is not boredom. It is a biological skip reflex. It is archonic interference, actively deploying within your nervous system to protect the very matrix that feeds on you. Watch what happens in your body during these moments. Notice how your breathing just became shallow, how a faint flutter of anxiety rises in your stomach. The system always knows when its food source is about to look up and see the cage. You have been told your entire life that your extreme sensitivity is a profound spiritual gift. You have been conditioned to believe that your ability to absorb the deep, suffocating pain of others makes you an empath, a highly evolved soul assigned to heal a broken world. This is the ultimate deception. What if everything you know about your compassion is a brilliantly engineered lie? Absorbing the chaotic, heavy decay of those around you is not healing them. It is a sophisticated frequency trap. You are not their savior. You are a battery. Your so-called empathy is a gaping vulnerability in your energetic scaffolding. It is a back door in your code, left wide open, allowing the Demiurge to siphon your life force under the guise of doing good. Every time you bleed out your vital energy to absorb someone else's trauma, you are not elevating them. You are anchoring yourself in their low-vibrational timeline. You are actively participating in the Loosh funk. If you are ready to stop being a sponge for the world's rot, and if your soul is demanding to step out of this parasitic loop, then hold your ground. The unready will flee right now. But if you are still here, the timeline pivot has already begun. Think about the last time you sat across from someone drowning in their own victimhood. Someone whose reality is a constant state of crisis. You listened. You offered your light. But when they left, they felt lighter, while you felt entirely hollowed out. There was a lingering heaviness, a cold viscosity like a sticky, invisible film clinging to your very aura. Your shoulders slumped, your mind grew foggy, and your chest tightened with a sudden, unexplainable exhaustion. This is not just a psychological reaction. It is hardwired physics. Consider this. Everything in the universe, including your consciousness, operates on frequency and vibration. Your heart generates a massive electromagnetic structure known as a torus field. It is a spinning, self-sustaining donut of energy that dictates your reality. When you engage in what you call empathy by stepping into someone else's pain, you are essentially forcing your torus field to match their broken frequency. You are tuning your radio to a station of decay. In physics, this is known as destructive interference. When two waves of different frequencies collide, the higher, more coherent wave loses its structural integrity to accommodate the chaotic one. Your nervous system is forced to process foreign emotional data as if it were its own. Your brain waves physically alter, dropping from clear alpha or gamma states into the murky, jet beta waves of survival and panic. You are literally downloading their trauma into your cellular scaffolding. Pause for a moment and scan your physical vessel. Do you feel a slight resistance rising in your stomach as you hear this? A defensive thought whispering, "But I have to help them. It's my duty." That is the ego's panic. That is the spyware defending its program. The system uses your innate goodness, your desire to heal, as a Trojan horse to breach your defenses. Archonic interference thrives in this specific viscosity. It needs you to believe that absorbing their pain is a noble sacrifice. Why? Because if you do not absorb it, the matrix loses a massive generator of low-frequency energy. The system feeds on Loosh, the energetic byproduct of suffering, anxiety, and despair. When you take on their pain, you do not transmute it. You multiply it. You become a localized Loosh factory. pumping out the exact frequency the Demiurge requires. Let that sink in. The physical illness you feel after being there for someone is the literal sensation of your timeline collapsing to meet theirs. Your empathy has been weaponized into a biological lie. These are recalibration signals from a body that has just been hacked. You are actively participating in the unraveling of your own sovereignty, simply because you were never taught the difference between holding space and becoming the sponge. You have been indoctrinated with a very dangerous, meticulously engineered spiritual lie. You have been taught that to truly love someone, you must bleed with them. That to be a good person, you must absorb the toxic runoff of a suffering world. This is the Matrix's greatest trick. It has convinced you that self-sacrifice is the ultimate virtue, when in reality, it is the ultimate vulnerability. Let us strip bare the architecture of this deception. The system weaponizes your inherent goodness. We must first sever the psychological conditioning that blurs the line between true compassion and false empathy. True compassion is a high-frequency state of pure, detached observation. It is standing sovereign on the shore, casting a lifeline to a drowning person. You see their struggle. You acknowledge the storm, but you remain fiercely anchored. False empathy is diving into the freezing, turbulent water to drown alongside them, convinced that shared suffocation is somehow a noble form of healing. Picture this. The Matrix, the Archonic system, or the Demiurge, whatever nomenclature you prefer, does not consume physical matter. It consumes frequency. Specifically, it feeds on a bioenergetic exhaust produced by human anxiety, despair, and prolonged suffering. This energetic frequency is known in esoteric circles as Loosh. When you practice false empathy, you are not acting as a healer. You are acting as a willing conduit for this parasitic egregore. You become a pipeline for their feast. You look at a friend in deep distress, or you scroll through the endless doom of the collective consciousness, and instead of holding a sovereign boundary, you collapse your quantum state to match their decay. You voluntarily lower your vibration to meet theirs. In doing so, you do not pull them up. You simply create a massive, synchronized broadcast tower of grief, pumping pure Loosh directly into the feeding grounds of the Matrix. You are manufacturing their sustenance. Check your body right now. Pause and scan your physical vessel. Does your breathing feel slightly restricted? Do you feel a sudden, defensive heat in your face, or a deep, ancestral weariness in your bones? That is the recognition consciousness waking up. That is your soul remembering the exhausting weight of 1,000 lifetimes spent playing the martyr. The body always recognizes the truth before the mind accepts it. The tightness in your chest is the memory of the harvest. Now imagine two pendulums hanging on a wall. Itzhak Bentoff's research demonstrated that if one pendulum swings wildly and the other swings steadily, they will eventually synchronize. But in the dense realm of human trauma, the heavier, chaotic frequency, the panic, the victimhood carries a much stronger gravitational pull. Your steady rhythm is hijacked by their frantic oscillation. If you do not consciously maintain your resonance, the viscosity of their despair will drag your pendulum into their erratic timeline. The system knows this physics equation perfectly. It actively pairs you with energy vampires or individuals deeply embedded in the victim matrix. It uses your own unhealed savior complex as the exact mechanism to harvest both of you. You think you are saving a lost soul, but you are merely increasing the yield of the Loosh farm. Your light is being digested under the guise of an honorable rescue mission. The Demiurge loves a willing martyr. Let us deconstruct the concept of the savior using Jungian shadow work. Why do you feel the compulsive need to absorb their pain? Because fixing them distracts you from the terrifying void within yourself. The savior complex is a psychological defense mechanism, a form of archonic interference that keeps you looking outward so you never face your own internal decay. You use their chaos to avoid your own silence. This is the bitter pill of the false empathy trap. Furthermore, Consider the universal law of sacrifice. To save someone by taking on their karma is to rob them of their own alchemical fire. Their pain is not an accident. It is the specific, necessary friction their soul chose to burn away their own illusions. The universe designed their suffering to wake them up. When you step in and absorb that friction, you interrupt their timeline. You halt their evolution. You steal their awakening. Worst of all, you tether yourself to their karmic loop. You become entangled in a dense, sticky web of low-vibrational codependence. False empathy dissolves the sovereign borders of your torus field, creating a gaping breach where archonic entities can easily slip in. You are leaving the front door of your consciousness wide open, inviting parasitic attachments to feed not only on your friend's original trauma, but on your amplified, empathetic despair. Watch what happens in your body during these moments of forced empathy. Notice the sudden sleepiness, the brain fog, the heavy eyelids when they start venting their endless cyclic traumas. This is not normal fatigue. It is a recalibration signal. Your nervous system is trying to shut down to protect you from the frequency hack. Your biology is screaming at you to disconnect. But your socially programmed guilt forces you to stay plugged into the matrix feed. Your guilt is the consent form. Every time you think, if I don't feel their pain, I'm a bad person, you are reading a script written by your jailers. You are reciting the exact code that keeps you locked in the frequency trap. The Matrix weaponizes your morality to ensure you never rise above the threshold of the feeding ground. The Lords of Karma need your consent to recycle your energy, and guilt is how you sign the contract. Let that sink in. True sovereignty requires a ruthlessness that the modern spiritual community is terrified of. It requires you to watch a building burn and understand that the fire is necessary. It demands that you stop acting as a human sponge for the architecture of decay around you. You are not a waste disposal unit for the collective unconscious. You are a sovereign node of consciousness, meant to emit light, not to absorb darkness. Notice the visceral relief that comes with this realization. A slight loosening of the jaw, a dropping of the shoulders, a deeper, fuller breath. That is the feeling of unplugging from the machine. You are not required to bleed for the world to prove your worth. Your true power lies in your impenetrable, sovereign silence. When you stop feeding the Demiurge with your false empathy, the Matrix loses its grip on your reality. The simulation begins to starve. To understand how you're being harvested, we must look into the shadows of your own mind. Carl Jung warned us of entities that exist not in physical space, but within the deep architecture of the collective unconscious. Ancient Gnostics called them archons. Modern esoteric psychology might call them autonomous complexes or mind parasites. Do not mistake them for mythological demons. They are highly advanced, non-physical algorithms. They are energetic spyware, and they have been installed directly into your preconscious awareness. How does this spyware operate? It uses the most powerful Trojan horse in the human psyche, the savior complex. You believe your desperate need to rescue broken people is born from a pure, evolved heart. It is not. The compulsive urge to save others at the expense of your own sovereignty is an artificial code. It was implanted to ensure you continually bridge the gap between your high-frequency torus field and the low-frequency decay of the matrix. You are the copper wire connecting the battery to the machine. Pay close attention to the voices in your head when you try to walk away from a toxic dynamic. Listen to the narrative that unfolds. If I don't help them, who will? If I leave, I am selfish. I am the only one who understands them. These thoughts do not belong to you. They are foreign installations. This is archonic interference actively running its guilt algorithm to prevent you from severing the connection. Guilt is simply the psychological manifestation of a frequency tether. Watch what happens in your body during these moments of internal conflict. Notice the sudden, heavy viscosity in your gut. The way your throat tightens as if you're swallowing stones. That is your biological alarm system detecting a foreign entity. Your body knows that your life force is being actively siphoned. The physical discomfort is not your conscience talking. It is the friction of the parasite digging its hooks into your energetic scaffolding. The system requires your active participation to sustain its egregore massive, autonomous thought form fed by human emotional output. It cannot generate its own power. It needs the erratic, highly charged friction of human drama. When you engage with energy vampires, you are not just feeding them. You are generating a massive surge of Loosh that travels up the tether directly into the archonic feeding ground. Your empathy is the spark. Their trauma is the fuel. We must completely deconstruct this biological lie. Your sovereign energy was never meant to be a life support system for those who refuse to heal themselves. By absorbing their chaos, you are actively violating their karmic contracts. You are stepping in front of the exact alchemical fire they need to burn away their own ignorance. You are not a savior. In the cold, mechanical eyes of the Demiurge, you are simply a highly efficient, self-replicating food source. To reclaim your mind, you must become intimately aware of the skip reflex within your own thoughts. When the urge to rescue rises, observe it without action. Feel the mechanical pull of the program trying to activate your torus field and lower your resonance. Do not fight it. Simply refuse to fund it. When you withdraw your energetic consent, the spyware begins to starve. The voices of guilt will scream louder at first, but eventually, they will dissolve into the void. The time for passive suffering is over. You must shift from being a reactive sponge to a sovereign node of consciousness. The isolation protocol is not about physical distance or running away from the world. It is about vibrational quarantine. It is the conscious, ruthless decision to stop bleeding out your torus field to irrigate the dead soil of the matrix. You must learn the hidden mechanics of the frequency shield, a technology your soul already knows but your programmed mind has forgotten. A true frequency shield is not a visualization of white light or a metaphorical suit of armor. That is egoic defense, and the Demiurge feeds on the energy of your defense just as much as your surrender. A true shield is a state of absolute, impenetrable non-resonance. If a tuning fork near you vibrates at a chaotic frequency of fear, anger, or victimhood, you simply refuse to match its pitch. You become acoustically dead to their drama. You observe the noise, but you do not echo it. This brings us to the forbidden technique of the silent observer. When someone approaches you with their heavy, low vibrational loop, your socially programmed instinct is to lean in. You are taught to validate, to lower your vibration to meet them where they are. Stop. Do not lean in. Remain fiercely seated within the central axis of your own torus field. Let their words hit the outer edge of your aura and fall flat to the floor. You are the anchor, not the lifeboat. Watch what happens in your body during these moments of detached observation. Notice the initial panic in your chest, the desperate, programmed urge to say something comforting, to fix the unfixable. That is the archonic spyware malfunctioning. Breathe deeply through that tightening. As you maintain your silence, you will feel a sudden, profound shift in the room's viscosity. The heavy, sticky energy that usually drains you will stop flowing into your solar plexus. The pipeline is effectively cut. When you refuse to generate the complementary frequency of pity or distress, the energetic tether cannot attach. The parasitic entity feeding on the interaction realizes the power source has been cut. The person complaining will experience a subconscious friction. Without your energy to sustain their loop, they will either elevate their own frequency to meet your sovereign calm, or they will abruptly leave to find a more willing battery. You have successfully starved the parasite without speaking a single word of conflict. To implement this permanently, you must establish strict recognition windows in your daily life. You cannot be available for energetic withdrawal 24 hours a day. A recognition window is a conscious, premeditated boundary where you decide exactly how much time and energy you will allocate to an interaction. It is a portal you open with strict conditions. Once that temporal window closes, your quantum state collapses back to isolation. You step away, and you do not carry their ghost with you. Understand this deeply. When you absorb someone's pain through false empathy, you are carrying a holographic imprint of their trauma within your own energetic field. This is why you replay their problems in your mind hours later, losing sleep over a crisis that is not yours. The Demiurge is using your cognitive processing power to mine their Loosh long after they have left the room. The recognition window surgically severs this timeline entanglement, forcing their karma to remain in their own field. But the Matrix is cunning. It will attempt to bypass your conscious mind and attach to your preconscious awareness. Sometimes, you will not feel the drain while the person is speaking. The archonic interference operates with a time delay, waiting until your guard is down, usually when you're alone and physically relaxed. This is why you must master the linger test. It is the ultimate diagnostic tool to ensure your sovereign borders remain unreached. The linger test is a somatic protocol performed exactly 10 minutes after concluding any emotionally dense interaction. Retreat to a quiet, isolated space. Close your eyes. Do not replay the conversation or analyze their words. The mind will lie to you to protect its programming. Instead, directly scan the physical weight of your vessel. Your body is the only instrument that cannot be easily deceived by the Matrix. It registers energetic theft instantly. Check your body right now as we simulate this. Do your shoulders feel as though invisible? Leaden weights have been hung upon them? Is there a residual metallic taste in your mouth? Or a sudden, inexplicable brain fog clouding your preconscious awareness? Is your heart rate slightly elevated, beating with a dull, erratic thud? This is the linger test revealing a breach. Your frequency has been hacked. You have been harvested without your explicit consent. If the linger test is positive, you must execute an immediate frequency flush. Do not sit there and process their emotions. Do not try to understand their pain. Command your torus field to forcefully eject the foreign data. Visualize the sticky, black viscosity of their trauma being pushed out of your cellular scaffolding and dissolving into the void. State clearly to the universe, I return this karma to its rightful owner. I am not the sacrificial lamb. By mastering the isolation protocol, you are actually performing the highest act of spiritual integrity. You are honoring the universal law of sacrifice. You are forcing them to face their own alchemical fire. The Matrix wants you to act as their painkiller, ensuring they remain comfortable in their decay and never truly wake up. Your sovereign refusal to be their medicine is the exact catalyst that might finally shatter their simulation. You become the mirror they cannot avoid. Do not apologize for these boundaries. The modern spiritual community will call you cold. The Matrix will call you selfish. Let them. You are stepping out of the Loosh farm and claiming your rightful place as an unshakable pillar of reality. Let the world burn its own illusions. You are the silent watcher, untouched by the flames, holding the frequency of truth until they are ready to rise on their own. The Demiurge has lost its grip on you. We have reached the timeline pivot point. You are no longer the same consciousness that clicked on this video. The preconscious awareness within you has recognized the architecture of its own prison. The whisper of your soul has been decoded. If you ignore this whisper now, the system will not gently remind you. The escalation logic will take over. It will escalate to absolute disruption. The Matrix will tear down your external reality, manifesting crisis and loss, simply to force the awakening you refuse to choose voluntarily. You stand at the edge of a fundamental, existential choice. Will you continue to act as a biological battery for the Demiurge, filtering the collective decay through your own torus field? Or will you reclaim your absolute sovereignty? True awakening is not about ascending into a fluffy, artificial cloud of eternal bliss. It is the ruthless, surgical removal of everything that feeds on your light. It is the willingness to become deeply, unapologetically intolerant of the frequency of victimhood. Society, driven by the archonic agenda, has weaponized the concept of empathy to keep you compliant. But hear this clearly. The most profoundly spiritual act you can ever commit is to walk away from those who refuse to heal themselves. By stepping out of their karmic loop, you stop funding their illusion. You force them to meet the alchemical fire they have been desperately, endlessly avoiding. Your unyielding boundary is the absolute greatest catalyst for their ultimate evolution. Take a deep breath and feel the physical space your vessel occupies right now. Notice how the phantom weight you have been carrying for years, the invisible, crushing burden of 1,000 unsaved souls, is beginning to dissolve. The chronic tightening in your chest is unwinding. Your spine feels undeniably straighter, firmly anchored in the present moment. This is what it physically feels like to close the back door of your energetic code. The spyware is actively being uninstalled from your nervous system. You were never designed to be a sponge for the world's rot. You are a sovereign node of consciousness, intended to be an unshakable beacon of high-frequency resonance. Consider this physical metaphor. A lighthouse does not plunge into the freezing, stormy sea to save the drowning ships. It stands rigidly on the jagged rocks, beaming its signal so intensely that the ships must learn to navigate themselves. You must become the lighthouse. Let the waves of their chaos crash against your solid base and recede into the void. If this transmission has successfully shattered the glass of your old reality, do not let the system lull you back to sleep. The archonic interference will try to convince you tomorrow that this was all just a cynical, dark philosophy. Do not let your frequency drop back into the trap. Join those who are actively decoupling from the Loosh farm. Subscribe to this resonance, engage with this frequency, and anchor yourself in this new timeline. Together, we will dismantle the scaffolding of the simulation, one sovereign choice at a time. The Matrix feeds endlessly on your misplaced guilt and your manufactured despair, but it stars instantly in the presence of your absolute, impenetrable silence. Stop trying to save a holographic world that is specifically designed to consume you. Save your own frequency, and in doing so, you alter the electromagnetic fabric of the entire construct. The false empathy trap is now completely broken. The exit door is wide open, waiting for your final step. Step through it, and never look back.